My friend Kirsten Tibbles from Savoured Chocolate and Patisserie School is joining me today to make a beautiful dessert. Today we're going to be doing something really simple, something that you like to do at home.
It's something I always love to do, and my mum used to make it for me as a child, jam steam pudding.
Yeah.
So we're going to use some fresh berries, make our own jam in the bottom, and then do a little pudding on top.
Oh, I love the sound of this already.
So if we start, if you don't mind, just buttering the glass jars. So I've got some glass jars. You can use a cup, anything like that. I've got jars big enough so I can actually put a scoop of ice cream on at the end.
Oh, this just gets better and better.
I'm going to start with the pudding base. So this is quite easy as well. We're just going to put some butter in, and I'm going to put some caster sugar on top, and we're just going to cream these two together. So about 3/4 of a cup.
What makes a good pudding?
Moist. It has to be moist. I think if it's dry, it's no good. So you've got to be really, really moist. And by steaming it, we've got a beautiful texture. So I'm just going to mix this. You can mix this by hand if you want. Once it's mixed a little bit, we're going to add in some eggs.
Right.
The batter may separate a little bit at this stage, but it'll come back together when we add in our self-raising flour.
Great.
Next, I'm going to add in some orange zest. And if you don't mind preparing the berries, which are going to make up our jam base, so we're just going to roughly chop some strawberries, add in some of these delicious raspberries.
Look at that.
So I'm just going to zest the orange before adding it in.
Okay. Strawberries. And these are just in quarters?
Yeah, so just cut the top off and just roughly cut them.
You do pastry and chocolate work for a living. When you get home, do you make desserts?
I
Like,
do,
if you've got a
because
dinner party
my son's
or-
got a really sweet tooth, but he likes helping now, which is great. So it's always good to have a little helper. So I like to make things that are great to cook with him as well.
Yeah.
Keeps him enthusiastic, because I think their time spends about 20 minutes and then they lose interest. They start looking around at something else to do.
This recipe is then perfect because we're almost at the end of the preparation for this.
Yeah, it's very fast. So I've just added that zest in there. I'm going to mix that, and then I'm going to add in the flour, and lastly the sultanas.
Okay.
So just slowly, this will bring it all back together. About 45 grams, a good handful of sultanas in there.
And you can see that batter has come back together perfectly.
Yes, we're going to add those in.
Those berries are done, so there's a bit of sugar here.
Put the sugar in and the vanilla.
Sure. Bit of vanilla. Right, now they're combined, so I'll bring in our buttered jars. We've put a little bit of chucks.
Just to stop them sliding on the bottom of the pan. So we're just going to evenly divide the berries between the jars just into the base, and our pudding batter is ready.
Far too easy, Kirsten, for you.
It's great to do some really simple recipes that aren't going to take you all night to prepare, so you can enjoy it with your guests. So we're going to spoon this mixture on. Yep, leave a gap, about a thumbnail to the top of the jar before we put them into the oven. So we're going to fill this with water. So we're going to steam the pudding. Just ensure that it's covered up to the top of where the batter sits, and then we're fine to go into the oven.
How long are we cooking this
We're going to
for?
cook them at 160 degrees Celsius for about an hour.
Fabulous.
Look, just check, because all ovens are completely different. Just check when you press in the top, it should bounce back. Perfect.
All right, Kirst, these have been cooking.
Be careful pulling them
I
out.
know.
If it's easy, you can scoop a bit of water out before you lift the tray out to make it a bit easier.
Oh, muscles! There they are.
So these are ready to serve straight away. As I said, you can store them and then just reheat them for serving. But I like it with some ice cream scooped on top so it melts and drizzles down a little bit.
Oh, yes, please. And I love how that fruit's broken down a lot. It's staining that pudding there.
I know, which is what keeps it really nice and moist.
Yeah.
With the sultanas in there, that'll be nice and juicy as well. So I like to serve these when they're really nice and warm. So just a really generous scoop of ice cream. And we just, doesn't need to be fancy. We just drop that on top.
Yeah.
And there we have our finished steamed pudding.
I think it's time to have a taste.
Should we share?
Let's share one. Let's share one with the ice cream on it when it starts to melt.
I know, it's beautiful when it drizzles down a little bit.
And you really
Go
have to
right
get
down to get the berries.
all the way down. Mmm. That's really good. I can taste the citrus in there. That orange is so delicious against the fruit there. Well, that's for me. You're going to have to start a new one.
Okay.
I'm not sharing this at all. Thanks, Kirst.